Good day, I'm Kidlar, and today I'd like to share with you a new hoik elevator design that I created. Now you may be looking at this one and say, hey, isn't that the one that Chaos made and showed in this video like a couple of weeks ago? And you'd be right. It's not the one I'm talking about, thankfully. But after watching this video, that actually got me to think, because Chaos said he couldn't make it any thinner than 3 block wide. But after watching that, I started to experiment, namely with the block swap platform that still trigger hoik, like this, but he only used them to enter the hoik from above, like this. But I just thought maybe there was another way we could use them. And after experimenting for a little bit, I discovered that I do not trigger a hoik when overlapping with the middle part of the player's sprite. They only trigger when overlapping with the player's feet, which is actually huge. We'll come back to that later. And I've not seen that documented anywhere else, so maybe I'll update the wiki after uploading this video. So, to make a 2x2 hoik elevator design, I chose to start with what we already know worked for a 2x2 elevator design, which is the arrow design that Chaos used for its wired elevator. Now, so we don't want to use any actuators or any wires or anything here. So let's go over the problem we might have when not actuating any kind of block. So when you're going, first a little reminder, or maybe for those who don't know, hoiks in this game are decided in a specific order. When your sprite overlaps with multiple blocks that can trigger a hoik, they go always in a set, or they go always from right to left and then from bottom to top, which means they always go in the order bottom right, middle right, top right, bottom left, middle left, top left, like. So this is important for a few reasons. First, for downward hoiks, like normally you'd be in the air and with your feet overlapping with the bottom part of the arrows, with the two blocks that are supposed to trigger downward hoik, and this would work perfectly fine as long as you're grinding against the rightmost wall of the elevator, so that the block that triggers is on the bottom right of your sprite. However, if you're against the left wall of the elevator, the block that is supposed to trigger is the bottom left one, because the bottom right one is too far away. It just will not trigger. But if you, because of the hoik priority works, it will prioritize any block that is on the right side before the one on the bottom left, and we have one over there. Which means if you're against the left wall, you'll be sent up, which is actually an issue that Chaos had is in this very design, which is when you press down and don't move, it's just fine, but if you press down and hold right, you might just be sent back up. So this is what would happen, like right there. However, in this specific design, there's an easy fix. This. All we need is this block not to trigger a hoik, and the only thing we need to do that is to remove it. we can also just make sure that it doesn't trigger anything, and make it an unhammered block also works. This may be useful in case you want to put something up there, like some water to break your fall, like I've done over there. Now for the more complicated part, but not really more complicated, but more innovative. When you're moving upward in a hoik, the top part of your sprite overlaps with the teeth that is supposed to send you upward. However, with a classic design, one of the bottom teeth will always activate first, especially because it's a sideways hoik. This one will always trigger and will always send you to the side, no matter what you do, because it comes first in the priority. Something at the bottom left, something especially in the bottom left, always comes last in priority. But you can see I have my cursor on my platform, and it's to do this. Because, as we've seen before, if a platform hoik overlaps with the middle part of the player, it does not trigger. Which means this will actually, which means the upward pointing teeth is the only one that will trigger. There we go. Now we have a repeatable pattern that can be used as both an upward and a downward hoik. So now all that left are the different entrances and exits. And these are all the design I came up with. Let's start simple. So, of course, you can always enter this kind of hoik from the side. So these are all the elevations. These are all the different ways to enter from the side that I will have over there. This is nothing too special. From the bottom, I've used the exact same entrance Chaos has used over there, which is trying to stand on a platform. Hammer 3 times actually clips you into the block above. So you can actually just jump through, and if it triggers the hoik, it sends you directly upwards. Now to go down, I actually had to split the entrance and exit points, because the exit points of the upward hoik will always be on the blocks. So in order to still be able, or still allow us to entry the hoik, I had to move the entry point higher. By the way, when designing these elevators, I actually made every hoik platform. I'm gonna call them hoik platform from now on, because something like downward slope block swap platform or something is gonna be way too hard. So I'm just gonna call them hoik platform. I've always used ashwood platforms. The platform that are not swapped with anything that do not trigger hoik are basic wood platforms. So in order to line ourselves up to drop through and descend into the hoik, I had to move the ashwood platform upward, else it would not work. Right there, you're seeing the first issue of this true 2x2 design, is that if you're trying to go down the hoik from the middle, it will actually send you right in the exact position that you entered the hoik, and it will try to land you on that platform, and if you don't do anything, you'll be sent back up. This is the first issue. Now, there are two ways to fix this. That the first one is to just hold the down key. If you do that, your character won't try to land it, and it will just go through. The other way to do that is to line yourself up against one of the walls of the elevator, and it just won't try to land you on the blocks at all. I'm not exactly sure why, but it works on both sides, so it's not a case of, oh, this one is not sloped, so no, it always works. Well, I'm not sure why. And and if you're wondering, no, entering a hoik from the side does not line you up correctly. If you want to be correctly lined up, you need to keep holding down the right key, but the hoik itself does not place you far enough to the side to make you skip the platform. So the two main issues. So this is the main issue. The second issue with that is, well, because the two different parts of the elevator are not at the same height. So I made all my other design trying to remedy that. So first, the easiest problem to fix is how to not go back up. So the easy answer is to move to the side of the hoik, and to do that, what we need to do is put a platform down there. Because if we do that and we remove a platform over here, that it does not trigger a hoik, when going downwards, will always trigger this one, which is against the platform, which will act as solid ground, and this one will trigger as a sideways hoik, not a downwards hoik. So when moving through, will always be sent to the side. So no platform in the way, no fear of being sent back up. So no need for holding down or anything like that. Now, for this one, you can see it's a little bit more complicated, but not by much actually. It's impossible to break. It's impossible to move the exit point of the upward hoik without breaking the downward hoik. To do that, we'd need something like a platform, but in reverse, by which I mean something that looks like a block from below, but not from above, which does not currently exist in the game. So our only other option is to enter the downward hoik from the side. So right there, I've painted the blocks and platform that actually triggers a hoik, which are this one, which we can we just drove through, which triggers a downward hoik, which is there, which triggers this block over here, which sends us actually on the other side of the elevator, which we can't have it send us directly into the elevator because it's lined up against the ground. So if we do that, it would send us back upward. By the way, it needs to be a platform, it cannot be a block, because if it's a block, the downward hoik will actually try to land us on top of that block before triggering the hoik. So it's not so it has to be a platform here. And here on the right side, we have a second hoik, this time to send us back into the elevator, but having our head against the ceiling, which is the correct position to send us downward into the hoik, which does something like this. We first go down, go to the left of the elevator, and then go back. Now, most of the block I've placed actually are not necessary here. You can just break pretty much half of those. I actually managed to break one of the ones I should not have broken. This is the one which sends us downward. but like all the rest was added only to look pretty, and which yeah, you don't need anything else. If you press down, it just works. Another perk of this particular design is that if you walk it from the side, it works just as well. Because when you start walking on the slope block over there, the downward hook will trigger, and it works at basically any walking speed unless you're dashing through, which may put you above or inside the thing. It almost always triggers. So this is a plus, but keep in mind this specific trick of walking into the hoik does not work in reverse. If you try to walk in from the right over there and this was a downward hook, it would not work. I am not sure why actually, but it does not. I've tried many times, trust me, and it just does not. So this is the best we have on there. So this was my first attempt at reducing jank as much as possible. Let's try painting this back in green. There we go, using the wrong tool. So this was my first attempt at making this symmetric design. Now this one is more of an attempt at limiting jank as much as possible. Now it's not shorter because it needs to, it's just shorter because I got lazy and didn't want to add 100 teeth, but you can just repeat the same pattern over there, it still works. It's on the only white part are the entrances that I separated to minimize jank. So the problem with this design is that if you're standing all the way to the right of the block, it's possible to have something like this to happen. If it does, you can just walk to the right to trigger the hoik, or just let go to jump out, so it's not a big deal. But for people who absolutely want to have a completely jank-free setup, you can. It's possible. I've made something like this, which is just a two platform wide entrance into the hoik, which like literally always work. I don't need those banners, which always work. And as for the rest, it's work literally the same way as this one, except it's all moved to one side. And on the bottom, it's I line this up first against the ceiling in order for the downward hoik to work more consistently. Another thing that's different about this one is that I've moved the entrance one block higher. Now, if you wonder why I did this, it's to make the entrance easier, because I've noticed like with this kind of hoik, if you have wings and you press space, you cannot enter it when moving from the side, and this is because when you can just fly against the slope platform like that, but if you move to the side, it actually pops you downwards and gets you out of the elevator. And also, like you see, it only happens with hoik platform. It does not happen with normal platforms. So what I did was move everything up so that the hoik platform the hoik platform can trigger like this. And I also and this specific example, I also sloped everything so that if you hold space even from far away, you can just enter it anyway, because the slope just pushes you the right way. So this design is, of course, has a has its entrances that are a lot wider, quite a lot wider. But it's the best way to reduce any kind of jank. Now, if you that said, if all you want is a fix to enter from the bottom with wings, that's absolutely something that you can add to the other two kinds of elevators. I didn't do it because I didn't want to move everything back up, but it's totally possible. Now that's now if so those are the three most functional designs that I came up with. So these are a bit flexible if you understand what you're doing. But if all you want is are the functional designs, this is all you need. You don't need to watch the rest of the video. So you can leave. I allow you to. Now these design over there are just mostly for comprehensive purposes because they are the minimalistic designs. These are all you need in order to make these hoiks work. So these are the so now it's not really practical because like you see I'm bouncing back up because this one has the same problem as the first one I presented, and they're not exactly practical because you can't enter them exactly the same way. For example, the downward hoik has more leeway to the right, and the upward hoik has more leeway to the left, and you can just pop outside because there are no blocks to the side. So this is more of a technical showcase than anything, and this is much the same. Then it's somewhere in between this design and this one because it's only 2 block because the entrance from above is only two blocks to the side as opposed to 1 block for the first one and 3 blocks from the second one. But it's pretty much the same thing, it just built a little bit differently. Now these over there, these aren't part of the main elevator design thing. These are more stuff that I'm working on. These are more working designs. Now these two over there are technically inferior versions of what I've already done over here in the sense of there are different way of entering a downward hoik to the side, and they are not as practical as the one I've made over there because they take more space. This one is a more interesting beast though, because I've actually managed to make pretty much by accident a hoik that can send you at different well, it's more of a teeth that can send you into different hoiks, because when walking in from the side, well, I got the one thing I didn't want to happen then, but when walking to the side, you're usually sent to the sideways hoik, and when you're dropping in from above, you're sent downwards, even though it's always the same teeth that triggers, in which case is this platform. Now, sometimes it does clip you if you're going at very specific speeds. For example, right after a dash, typically, you'll be sent downward. But I just thought that was pretty interesting, so I'm just left it there like that. Honestly, I'm not sure how it could really be useful, but it's something you can do. So So if you want to try an experiment with this kind of setup, you can, and I encourage you to do so. And I probably will myself. I'm not sure if I will ever make another video about this specifically, but maybe with a little bit more work, this could happen. Talking about future work now, I'm working on improving Chaos's ultimate roll of Discord farms. Uh, there are quite a few things with hoiks that you can make to make it quite a bit more efficient. It's not quite ready for me to make another video about it yet. And to be fair, I'm not like this one. I'm not sure I ever will. But that's something you may still look forward to. So maybe, just maybe. So that concludes my video. And so don't hesitate to ask questions in the comments. I read them and reply to them as much as I can. And for now, that's everything I wanted to present. So if there ever sorry, not redoing this, not doing this another 15-minute recording session for that. So if there ever is a next time, see you then.